Hello and welcome back yet again to another edition of Have You Seen? Podcast where we talk about TVs, shows, and every now and then you'll get a nice little interview, and hopefully a little bit more frequently than you have. Today I'm joined by Tyler. I shouldn't need an introduction at this point, but Tyler Lennon. Tyler, how you doing?
Man, doing good. I was about to say, in the past, you always say frequent collaborator. We're at a point where that's not even that's not even fitting anymore. We're out here, man. Always happy to be back, especially with with a horror movie with a Shudder original. You know, I've probably mentioned Shudder once every episode we've ever done, even on like sports episodes. So it's dope to be doing a Shudder movie.
Yeah, and if there was any money coming into the podcast, I'd be needing to pay you.
At this point, Shudder needs to throw each of us some money, man.
If Shudder threw the bag for us to review all the movies, I'd be all in.
Absolutely.
Let's see. So we're here to talk about Influencer, and usually when it comes to movies, I'm anticipating. I got like a list. You know, I'm going month by month to deciding which movies I'm going to review or not review. Influencer was not on my list at all. But I happened to follow the director. I don't even know why, but I did. Maybe he followed me first. I follow back almost everybody on there. And I was on the timeline and he retweeted a tweet of somebody saying, Influencer is out now. And they had a lot of good things to say about the movie. So I was like, I got nothing to do. Let's check it out. Hit play, went on a nice little ride. And of course, I then said, Tyler, you seen this Influencer movie? Check it out. Tyler did. We'll get into the details of that later. And here we are to talk about it. So before we get into the details, I'm going to lay out all of the background. So the movie is starring Emily Tennant, who's actually the voice of Polly Pocket on the cartoons. Rory J. Saper, who played young Tarzan in The Legend of Tarzan. Cassandra Naud, that's that right? Who she was in C. That's the Jason Momoa show on Apple Plus. Also stars Justin Sams, who was in episode of Cloak and Dagger, and Sarah Canning, who's in a series of unfortunate events and the Vampire Diaries. Movie directed by Kurtis David Harder. Written by Kurtis and Tesh Guttikonda. The movie has won multiple awards on the festival circuit. It has a Best Screenplay win, it has a Best Director win, and it also has a Best Thriller Feature win. So covering the full gambit here of what you would want to see for a quality movie.
Shout out to Kurtis, man. Just went for the big three.
Yeah, you got all three, did all three things right. can't get much better than that. If you're listening to this, then you can obviously see we did get to talk to the director, and that interview follows this review. If this is your first time here, just to kind of give you an idea of the flow, I'm going to do a elevator review. That's not a thing that most people have done, so let me break that down for you. Elevator review. It's kind of like an elevator pitch. If you're on an elevator with somebody, you got 15 seconds to sell yourself. What would you say? Tyler and I are both going to give you our elevator reviews for this movie. We'll move into a non-spoiler section where I'm going to tell you at the end of the non-spoiler section to cut the podcast off and go watch the movie. Then come back for the spoilers. Me and Tyler definitely have a lot to talk about in the spoiler section. And then we got into some spoilers during the interview as well. So you want to save that for after you've seen the movie also.
For sure, go see it and then come back, because if you're anything like me at all, which you're probably not, because I'm very nerdy and have wild ADHD, but I'm the kind of person like with movies, with music, whatever, I want to know as much from that person. You know what I mean? And Kurtis was cool enough to come on. Very cool dude. And it was cool to get to talk to him about all that. So for sure, go watch it, then come back and listen to us and then listen to him.
Definitely a lot of good info from the interview. So what's this movie about, you might ask? While struggling on a solo backpacking trip in Thailand, social media influencer. That's the title. I don't know if y'all caught that. Social media influencer Madison meets CW, who travels with ease and shows her a more uninhibited way of living. but CW's interest in her takes a darker turn. So when I looked at this movie, I didn't really watch the trailer. I just looked at a couple pictures. I saw, a very stereotypical looking influencer type chick. And, there are people that get paid to go to exotic locations and post about them. And that's what this girl is doing. And you have to question whether or not she's actually enjoying herself, because it doesn't seem so. And so I was like, where is this going to go? And I hit play. That was enough for me, though. I was interested. Was it just my pitch that sold you on it, or did you check out like a trailer or anything before you watched it?
No, I didn't. You sent it to me, and anytime, especially if it's horror, but anytime Bibbs is like, have you seen this? Go see it. I mean, I don't have very many of those in my life, but you are one of the few. Like, if he said go watch it, I'm gonna go watch it.
All right, so let's get into the elevator review first, because I feel like I'm already saying too much. Elevator review for this movie, why you should watch it. First of all, it gives you a setup of you're going to watch a movie about an influencer and bad things are going to potentially happen to this person. But it gives you a lot to chew on with the idea of being an influencer. And then when you learn who our bad person is, start to think about what their motivations might be. And it's an interesting thriller. Are they going to get caught? Kind of a cat and mouse situation. And there's one thing I don't want to say at the end here, but it's a fun ride. It's a fun ride all the way through. Great acting, good action, great pacing, and definitely worth your time. Worth an hour and a half on your Friday, Saturday night. And I would say watch it with somebody.
Absolutely. My elevator pitch is the exact same thing as you. The only thing that I add, like you said, it's a very fun, postmodern, the influencer, very much of today's time, which is always tricky. Sometimes that's great. Sometimes it's not done very well, but this is a very good one, very fun one. And it, to me, is such a good example of why you need Shudder, because Shudder has some all-time classics and it's got new stuff. And to me, Shudder's the closest we get to like going to the movie store back in the day. You have no idea what you're getting into, and it's just fun stuff, man. I love Shudder. I gotta stop plugging Shudder.
I was gonna say, now I gotta reach out for the Shudder sponsorship. It's been a whole ad.
Yeah, I apologize for that, but yeah, that's my elevator pitch.
No, I gotta reach out. I gotta make a call now. Yeah. So let's get into the non-spoiler review. I started to say too much a while ago, but let's get into it. So, first of all, what was your first impression of Madison? I guess she's not really the main character, but the first person we're introduced to, I guess, in the movie.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like you said, it's, to me, I thought a great representation of, influencer life. Again, I think we're starting to see more of that in movies, and something you and I have talked about, like with Gen Z culture, sometimes it's done really poorly. And in this case, I thought it was done really well. Like it's very nuanced, a look at that, I feel like.
It's definitely a more millennial culture vibe for this movie, which I considered asking about that, but it was pretty clear he's from our generation. Which I'm not a fan of the Gen Z stuff. I'm not a fan of the overuse of like hashtags and buzzwords in dialogue in these movies. Bodies being the one exception where it was used. It annoyed me the entire movie. Like, I hated every character, but by the end of the movie, it worked so perfectly that it worked. But like a lot of these movies, when they start overdoing it with the Gen Z and the social media talk, it gets annoying. And one thing I did appreciate about this film, it was very light on the over social medialization, if you will, of the film.
I agree with that. I think it's much more almost, I'm having a hard time wording this, but it's just more of a setup. You're looking way more at the characters themselves than the social media aspect of it. Like, that's what she does and everything. But instead of being like really hammering that in, you're getting more of the characters themselves. And I like that. I think that's the way to go with that.
Exactly. It's kind of in the background. Like, this is what she does. This is the entire point of her being here, but it's not heavy-handed on trying to make a point about these people necessarily, which again, breath of fresh air in that regard. I like that the movie starts out by immediately kind of telling you that she's not 100% happy. Mm-hmm. Like, she does her little video or whatever, and like as soon as the camera goes off, she's like a different person.
Which I gotta say, not only from an influencer standpoint, I think that's everybody in life in general, right? Because you don't have to be an influencer, but you're posting yourself on Instagram, on Twitter, and you're only posting the good stuff for the most part. But there's so much more to it. And we've all got stuff, where you have tons of followers and you're interacting with people on Twitter every day, but you feel, you're not always feeling that way when it's just you.
Yeah, I think that recent years with the talk about mental health and a lot of celebrities, a lot of athletes and influencers have been very open about I'm struggling. Like, we're seeing those posts more now, but there was a long period of time where it was everybody was just putting their best selves online, and then people were developing complexes based on the best selves of others that they're seeing. It's like, you have to know they're only showing you the highlights. Like, they're not going to show you when their card declined and put that on Instagram. Like, that's not happening. But again, I at that point when they start showing you that she's not really feeling it, I was like, is this going to be another one of those "these people suck" type movies?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that type of movie, I don't think.
Yeah, not at all. It's another one. I think we've talked about this with some movies recently, but I thought it was great in terms of, like you said, every character, you have the surface level, and then it does a really good job of getting past that and letting you see more of it.
Yeah, definitely. So I noticed CW pretty quickly. I noticed her the first time when they're at the pool and she's kind of watching her from a distance. What was your first impression of CW? Like, did you know how this was about to play out?
Not at all. I never know what I can say and can't say. I
try not to spoil it, but
yeah, no, I did not. I had an expectation, and it wasn't what we got from CW.
Definitely, I think that I knew something was gonna occur there, like, obviously, but yeah, I definitely think it didn't go exactly how I expected. And when it did get to a point where things start happening, if you will, I was completely like, holy crap, like, this went further than I expected it to.
Yeah, did a good job of disguising that, I feel like.
Okay. I'm trying to decide if this is a spoiler or not. And I'm going to ask the question, and if you think it's a spoiler, I'll cut it out. There comes a point where CW becomes the main character for probably most of the movie.
Yeah. I'm trying to see. Never mind. I thought she may have been the poster art. She is not, but so I don't know if that is a spoiler or not, honestly.
Let's say it's not, because it is most of the movie. I think they get there pretty quickly. When that occurs, I think for me, that's when the movie kind of took off. You get your setup, you get your introductions, you start to understand the characters, and then you get this switch, and now it's a thriller. Is this person going to get away with this, like what they're doing?
Yeah, you make a good point. Like, it's almost, I almost can't, I have a hard time placing it in a genre, and I like that. I like, to me, the genre isn't important if the movie is good enough, and it very much is, in my opinion. Like, if someone asks me, is it more horror? I guess it's more thriller than anything, but even then, it's not full thriller vibes to me necessarily. It almost is just kind of in a little genre of its own. I like that.
Yeah, it kind of starts out as a drama, then goes to like a mystery, then a thriller. Definitely a fun movie. Let's talk about the boyfriend. When you saw this movie, you had something very particular to say about him. Would you like to repeat it, or should I bring it up?
I don't remember what I said, so I will let you remind me.
So this is the character Ryan. In in this, so what happens is, and now it's not really too much of a spoiler. The main character is in Thailand on her own. Her boyfriend was supposed to come with her, but he bailed on her at the last minute. Like, this is, again, told to us very early in the movie. I don't consider it a spoiler.
Are we talking about something I said late or early? I don't remember.
Something you said kind of early.
Okay.
So at a certain point, she pretty much just tells him it's over and to leave her alone. But he does not accept this. And I think both of us said, I feel like this is a spoiler.
Yeah, okay, that's where I thought you were going with it, so I wasn't sure.
Where I'm about to go is about to be a spoiler. I'll save that for the spoiler section.
Then I will say something. My first impression of Ryan is I think especially in this current era or decade or whatever of horror, we do get a lot of awful boyfriends in horror movies, and he very much at first comes off as that for sure.
Yeah.
And you're like, here we go, we're getting another awful horror movie boyfriend.
I think if I had to put a label on this movie, it subverts your expectations with every single character.
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, you got it.
I was gonna say, you're introduced to the character, you're set up to make certain assumptions, and then eventually you have to accept that you were wrong.
Yes, I think what I would add to that is much like I kind of already said with the influencer life and everything. I think everything about this movie is there's more than meets the eye. There's more than surface level. There's more of what you first impression or whatever. There's more than that.
Yes, and again, that's every single character in the movie. Every single character in the movie. Like, I'm thinking about it now. We meet another influencer. Again, I made assumptions about her. Was completely wrong. Even the guy at the bar made assumptions, completely wrong. And again, I think Kurtis and Tesh, this is their writing and the direction as well. None of it's very obvious. Like, nothing is obvious. There's a couple of, you get some hints to things that you may or may not see, or things that may come into play later, but it's never heavy-handed. It's never obvious. It's never, oh, well, that obviously is going to mean something later. It's, well, we know that where this is going to go. Like, there was no point in this movie where I could 100% predict what was coming next. And
and we say that as two people who are very, I mean, we do this almost every episode, between just being as nerdy as we are and like pattern recognition. If anyone's like that, so often we're like, I don't think most people would, but we kind of picked up on that, and we're even, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that part of it, I think, is fun. Like I said, what's the runtime on this? Did we double check? I want to say it's a tight hour and a half.
I would have thought IMDb would tell you that pretty quickly.
One of us will get to it eventually. Yeah, hour and 32 minutes. I don't feel like there was any wasted minute.
No, I didn't either. And we already mentioned, but paces really well. Dude, when you can get a 90-minute movie that paces well, love it.
It's a sweet spot. That's definitely the sweet spot. There's a note on IMDb that the opening credits do not start until more than 26 minutes into the movie. I don't know if I noticed that because I was just that into the movie personally.
I did notice, only because, though, again, it was one of those moments. Is like, how long have I been watching this? We're now getting the credits. Okay.
Fun movie, beautifully shot, set in, like I mentioned, Thailand. And you'll notice during the filming that there's not a ton of people around in a lot of these locations. And it's because it was filmed like fresh off the pandemic, to where stuff was just starting to open back up. And when you listen to the interview, you'll learn exactly why that occurred. And I think it's a fun little twist to the behind the scenes of this movie. But again, watch the movie and then listen to the interview. I don't want to give that away.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like you said, it's being a tight cast. It's funny because multiple times they mention, there's a lot of people here, and you never even it never occurred to me until this moment. They say that multiple times, and you only see, such a small cast of people. But it worked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think we're struggling to not spoil.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to get to it. But first, I will say, if you're looking for a thriller, you're looking for something to just throw on. Maybe you got some company. Maybe it's a movie night. It's a good movie night movie. Some moderate nudity. Would you say moderate nudity? Mild nudity?
There's nudity.
There's some cheeks that appear. But nothing crazy, I don't think. I think one sexual situation.
Yeah, one.
But again, doesn't get too crazy. Maybe not with the little kids. I don't hope you're not watching too many thrillers with the little kids, but teenagers and up, you should be good.
I
would say. Again, I recommend it. I don't want to put a rating on it. Maybe 4 out of 5.
Yeah. I would probably agree with that. Like you said, great night movie. I think works for if you're, with someone you're dating, a date, or even a group. I think this would be a fun group movie as well. And to me, again, you spend so much time scrolling through Netflix, scrolling through Shudder, scrolling through whatever. What am I going to watch? What I'm going to watch? This is a great one for that. Don't waste your time scrolling for an hour. Just go watch Influencer.
Put it on your list as a movie that you can throw on. It is on Shudder and I believe on AMC Plus as well. So AMC Plus, I believe, is technically. Does Shudder have a deal with AMC Plus? They got to.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so AMC Plus, Shudder, you should be able to check it out. Definitely worth the time. If you haven't tried your free trial yet for Shudder and you want to maybe give Shudder a chance, I would say it's a good first movie to throw on.
If you wait another week or two, promo code BIBS will probably be available.
I gotta reach out to Shudder. We'll see if that promo code can happen. But until then, definitely try to do the free trial. Let's get to these spoilers. And again, because I'm strongly encouraging you to watch this movie, hit pause on the podcast right now. I'm going to give you a couple seconds. Maybe you're washing the dishes. Maybe you're getting out of the car. You're getting the groceries together, whatever. Give you a couple seconds to hit pause because I actually want you to watch this movie before we get into these spoilers and you get into the interview as well. Movie lovers, if your local theater is a Cinemark, you may want to consider signing up for Cinemark Rewards. There are 2 tiers to choose from, and one of them is actually free. The free tier is the Cinemark Movie Fan. You'll earn 1 point for every dollar you spend. You can redeem your points for tickets or other rewards. You'll get member access to screenings and advance tickets. You'll get an extra discount on Tuesdays, and other exclusive member offers will apply. Then you have the $10 or $9.99 a month option, the Cinemark Movie Club. All of the above, plus 1 free ticket every month, 20% off of all concessions, waived online fees. Any unused ticket credits roll over to the next month. So if you miss a month, the tickets roll over. You'll also get member pricing for any additional tickets that you buy. For more information, hit the link in the show notes and sign up today. You have absolutely nothing to lose. All right, hands should be dry. Pause button should be pushed. I'm gonna let you start. Where do you want to jump first when we get into these spoilers?
Okay, that is a good question. Where are we starting? So I guess we had kind of alluded to what our impressions of CW were. So pretty quickly into the movie, Madison, our main character, it's made clear she is at this resort in Thailand. She's supposed to be there with her boyfriend Ryan. And Ryan didn't want to go. He had something pop up. I don't remember
the details. I just know she just said he bailed on her.
And he encouraged her to go ahead and go by herself. So now she's sitting at the bar by herself. Rupert, the older man, is kind of hitting on her, and CW comes in to save the day.
Right.
Quote unquote.
Perfect setup, really, as far as movies go. You might have thought the guy was going to be the problem.
I did.
You might have thought the guy was going to be the problem because, you got a girl here by herself and an older guy just comes running up on her. Definitely felt like that was going to be the situation. Then you have the girl come in and it's all right, she's safe now, but is the guy going to be waiting for her when she comes home? And I think there's a scene, actually, now that I think about it, when they like the two girls go hanging out all night and they come back and they go their separate ways. I was like, boom, this is where the creepy guy comes in and swoops in, and they drag it out just enough, but not too much to where you're allowed to think, something's coming.
Right.
And I think that was when her room was ransacked, right?
Yeah. Now, as they are parting ways, I will say I think it is made a little bit of a point that CW does stick around to watch her, but that also could just be like, I mean, if I drop a friend off at their house, I sit in the car and wait until they get into the house, know?
Exactly. And that's how I took it personally. At first, it was kind of like, is she trying to like stay with her or like ask her to stay with her? And I was like, she's just being cautious because we already know the old guy was creeping, and maybe she knows the old guy is a creep. Maybe she's working with the old guy. I don't know.
I also, that final thought I had, maybe she's working with the old guy. I did have that thought for a second, but.
Right. So we see the rooms ransacked, and
specifically, if I'm not mistaken, there's like underwear out.
What, I might have missed the underwear being out.
I believe so. I believe she walks in and you see all of her clothes are scattered and like it.
Okay. I know her passport.
I remember about. I think that was kind of a yeah.
Yeah, her passport was definitely taken, so she's stuck basically. And that's where CW comes back and it's like, hey, chill with me. And now we're off. Now we're off. CW, I think it was pretty clear to me that she was not truly feeling her. That makes like she was kind of dissecting her and judging her, in my opinion.
I didn't necessarily pick up on that super quickly. We do start to get to that point for sure, but at first I don't think I picked up on that.
I think the first thing was when they went to get something to eat, and
she's taking a picture of it.
Picture of the food. And the girl's like, it's better hot. Or CW's like, it's better hot. She was like, you never taken a picture of your food before? She was like, nope, I usually get food to eat it. It's like, oh shit.
That's fair. I guess I didn't think too much of that just because I kind of halfway wondered if it's not setting it up to be like, hey, social media isn't everything. Like, live life in the moment, be more present. The kind of person that's like, when you go to the concert, don't video it, enjoy the concert.
Yeah, I didn't take it as a sign that she was going to be a villain. I did definitely take it as like she's trying to tell her like get out of your phone a little bit and pay attention to your surroundings type of thing. Again, at this point, I still thought she was a good person. Just a person living her life a little bit differently. I thought maybe there would be a little bit of not necessarily jealousy, but kind of like, again, judgment of people who live their lives through their phones, basically. Let's get to when things start to really take off. What did you expect to happen at the island? And let me know if you want to talk about something before the island.
Okay, I'm just trying to think. Before the island, we do go to like another house almost, or like an Airbnb or something that apparently CW had. What was the setup on that? Because I don't remember. Was it like, hey, I have this place, or what was it?
It was kind of, yeah. So it was basically, she was at the hotel. Obviously, that's how they like linked up. But then she was like, I have this place also. And I forgot was it Cassandra?
Yes.
Not Cassandra. I need
CW.
Not CW, the other girl's name. Goodness.
Madison?
Good Lord. Yeah. All right. Madison's like, you have this big place. Like, why are you at the hotel? And she was like, there's no people out here at the house, but I can be around people at the hotel.
Yeah.
So that's how she kind of sells it or basically lets us know.
And then she's like, I got a place I want to show you.
Right. So they go to the island and cell phone's not working. I think it was you I had the conversation with where don't know I can't remember who it was. There was a director who said, when you're writing a horror movie these days, one of the first things you have to figure out is why are cell phones not working. Mm-hmm. So remote island, cell phone not working. That's when you pretty much know bad things are about to go down. She sees the log with the countdown, the days marked off on it. And she's feeling too good. She's sipping the wine, and you kind of know this is about to go bad.
Yeah, especially when you are an influencer, I have a hard time believing you're going to want to go to a place that you're willingly going to a place that does not have so. But again, she's going through kind of the fight or potential breakup with Ryan, and she's made it clear she's not necessarily happy living the influencer life. So I think that's more than justified that she's like, all right, I'm with this new friend. She's taking me to a place without cell. That's what we're doing.
I don't think she told her. I think she just realized it once they were like on the way. She was trying to take a video on the boat and then her cell phone went out.
Oh, okay. You're right.
Not mistaken. So that was she didn't raise enough red flags, but
that's fair.
Maybe that was her just saying, let's go with the flow. They get to the island, you realize bad things are gonna happen. She pretty much lays it out like, I'm gonna leave you here. I doubt you're gonna. Did she say 5 days? I don't think.
I thought she said 3. I think
3,
2 or 3. Yeah.
She thought she was gonna die immediately. Like she couldn't find one piece of food to eat, or some drop of water.
In all fairness, I'm very much a Big Brother guy, not a Survivor guy. So I don't know. 3 days I don't know how long you'd make it on an island.
I want to say they say you could technically last a week without water, but if she's panicking on the island, that could definitely speed up the process.
Yeah, and you're out on an island. It might be hot. That might speed up the process a bit.
And I don't know what kind of wildlife was out there either. So
I don't either, but it's very much jungle-esque. I feel like it looks jungle-y anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, there were some trees, and yeah. So she leaves her on the island.
And like you said, straight up tells her that is what she's going to do. And of course, Madison, I think had even said right beforehand, like, I remember I had a friend, we would sit around and did she say she was in the Girl Scouts? I don't remember, but she said that we would sit around a campfire. And of course, I have that one friend who just tells the super scary story and goes too far. And then CW is like, speaking of, I'm leaving you here.
You know what? You just answered the question.
The light bulb clicked in my head as I said it. Yeah.
And it's funny because we didn't think anything of it. Neither did CW. Did not catch. She was a Girl Scout. They
should have maybe made note of that.
They learned these things.
But from a movie and directing standpoint, we as viewers didn't really take note of it. So why would CW?
But it's there. There you go.
It is. Right.
Wow. Now I'm thinking about it, like, dang, that could have changed the conversation a little bit. So she gets left, and now we're following CW. I mentioned CW becomes the main character. This is when she becomes the main character. And she pretty much takes over Madison's life. She told her, your fans won't miss you. And here's why. Because I'm taking over your account, and I have this software. I got enough footage of you to where I can splice your head onto my face, and nobody's going to notice the difference.
And a bit ahead of its time, because this was made like in 2020, didn't he say?
Yeah, 2019 he started it, I think, and then he couldn't film, so they didn't get to film till 2020.
We're obviously at a very big AI point today, but I don't know that we were when this was being made, so a little ahead of its time. Good for him.
Yeah, it was pretty dope. The technology worked for me. I don't know.
Absolutely.
She also had like a speech to text situation or text to speech situation where she was able to hold a conversation with the boyfriend with Madison's voice by typing it. It doesn't sound perfect, and he kind of is like, what's going on? Which I liked that they didn't pretend that it sounded perfect or make it sound perfect.
Yeah, I thought they got that perfect because, again, it's just a little off. It's noticeable as a viewer and to the boyfriend, but it's not so off. It's kind of in the perfect middle ground. Yeah,
you can tell it's her voice. There's like not much emotion behind it, though. It's kind
just a tiny bit clunky and no emotion, like you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So he kind of notices something isn't 100% right, but she says enough buzzwords that get him flustered, and he's not paying that much attention to it. CW pivots multiple times in this movie. Obviously experienced here, but was there any point where you thought there's no, like, she wouldn't react this way or she wouldn't find her way out of this?
That's a good question. I'm not really. I mean, she's experienced. She knows what she's doing. It's not her first time. doing all of this.
Right. I think there's the scene where the boyfriend is caught onto her. And he wants to know where his girlfriend is. I think he ties her up. And eventually she concedes and says, I'll take you to her.
Yes. Now's a pretty good point to mention. You almost brought this up during the non-spoilers and you waited.
Yeah.
Ryan, the conversation we had, Ryan is, I don't want to say better than me or better than us, but you and I just by nature are very much, I'm going to take my L and keep it moving. The second she, told me it was over and has now posted pictures, I think with another guy, with another guy talking about the love of my life. I'd have been like, word? All right. I have muted you on all social media and I've taken my L and I'm going to start sliding in some DMs.
Yeah. So first of all, he gets rejected wherever he is. I don't know if we were for sure where he was located. She tells him, don't bother coming. Like we're done. And then he shows up and that's the first surprise. Then he has a conversation with her while he's there. Like, she's like, leave me alone. And he sees the pic with her and another dude, but he's still committed. He's like, nah, I got to get her back. Like you said, I would have just said, whatever. What about your friend though? Like I'm not, she seems like this house is very empty with just her here. Like,
he wasn't willing to fly halfway across the world for their trip they planned together. Right. But the second she was moving on to someone else, he's like, I'll fly halfway across the world. I'll do it.
He seemed like he very much cared about her, I guess, and was too invested to just let her go, which again, better man than me, maybe. Maybe. So he's got her. He's finally caught her. He did the thing, and we asked the director about this. I mentioned that CW was recording videos and then putting Madison's face over them with using her voice for the voice thing. He's suspicious. He starts going through the videos because he doesn't think something's right, and he's freezing it frame by frame. And at one point, he can see CW's face below Madison's, and it stands out because the actress Cassandra Naud has a very prominent birthmark on her face that it's cool how it shows up when he's like looking at the frame by frame. And I got to ask the director, was that something he was looking for? Was he looking for somebody with like distinctive features? Or was that just kind of something that happened? He said it just kind of worked that way with the casting. So that was cool, that moment. And so he's got her, and now she's going to take him to Madison. And at this point, I'm thinking Madison is probably okay.
Yes. So I also had that thought, which I do want to mention. The only thing that we've kind of skipped past in this meantime, in between time, CW is keeping it moving. She's going to do this to another person. And we meet another, I think, even bigger influencer named Jennifer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she starts to run this play on her as well, but Ryan is also in the mix, and now it's a trio of Ryan, Jennifer, and CW. And Ryan again very suspicious of CW this entire time, and kind of throwing it at Jennifer like, "Hey, is this not weird to you?" And even Jennifer also is like, "No, this." She gets to a point where she's like, "No, this is too weird. I'm out."
Yeah, and I was surprised she tried Jennifer because, like you said, she's so big that she has a team of influencers under her. I thought she would like realize that she probably should let that fish go.
Yeah, it made me wonder, how much experience do you have doing this? Are you got it like that? Like you have that much experience that you can confidently aim this high?
And that's where I thought in my head, for some reason, this was when she's doing it to Madison, I thought, this is her fifth time in my head for some reason. But then at the end, we only see 2 graves.
Yes, you are right.
On the island. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how that played out or why, but I was surprised she went for that fish. I don't want to say she got sloppy or cocky, but she was really doing a lot between the boyfriend being there and going for this gigantic fish with her little line.
I will say she got a little sloppy.
Okay. Yeah.
That or again, she's just so good at this that she can, it's like if Kobe misses 6 shots in a row, well, I'm still gonna keep shooting. I'm gonna make it. I know I'm gonna make it.
She was quick on her pivot. She looked like Al Horford in the paint. I don't know. She was definitely, things would not go her way. She would find a way around it. She didn't get really frustrated often. She's kind of calmly was like, all right, that ain't going to work. Let me do it this way.
Yeah, was very quick on her feet. Speaking
of quick on her feet, so they get to the dock. The other chick, I thought she was going to get away. I'm not going to lie. I thought, was it Jessica?
Jennifer, I think.
Jennifer. Same thing. I thought Jennifer was going to escape, and then she does not. Were you surprised by that?
No, that one actually, I called that one. I figured it was going to have to be a quick type of, all right, then this is what we're doing. And that is kind of how that went. She went, just don't have time to draw this out. Got to kill you on the spot. And that's what she did. That
kill was kind of rough.
That one was.
I was about to skip over it. That was a rough ass kill. Like,
it was.
You remember how she killed it?
Yeah, but we're running through it.
So first she bangs her head into the wall. That part,
I remember that.
And then she's like crawls to the pool, and like her head on the edge of the pool.
Yeah, that one was rough. And then there is that little like 5-10 minute sequence. Because we also skipped past the part where she immediately now has to do something with Ryan, and I guess drugs him.
Yeah,
right.
She definitely drugged him. Which was another clue for him that something wasn't right. That's when he really starts, because she drugs him and like has her way with him in some way or another.
Yeah.
Where she produces a used condom.
And again, sloppiness. He wakes up and sees the condom on the floor.
Right. And she wants him to, because she needs him to know that they got it in.
Oh, yeah. You know what? That's my fault. You're right. She's not sloppy there. That was
she
smart.
Wanted him to think, because like she's in the bed with him. She's like, getting up. Let me get this breakfast. Thank you for last night. Last night was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's supposed to be like, oh, snap. Like, well, I guess I can't go back now that I've slept with a friend. Like,
yeah. And she even takes him to the ferry and is like, all right, it was a good time, but clearly you don't need to still be on this search anymore. Go back home.
I thought he was out of there.
I thought in my head, I was like, he's going to walk up to this ferry, make it look like he's leaving, hope CW bounces, and then he's going to continue this search.
And
which is essentially what he does.
Yeah, he goes to find the spot where she took the pic with this other guy, allegedly. And again, that's where his suspicions. He's asking questions. He runs into the old guy. Old guy's like, nah, she left with the chick. And that's what he knows.
Yeah. I do want to ask, because you had kind of alluded to it earlier and then I interrupted. At what point are you thinking Madison's still alive? Because I think it's in the back of your head the entire time, only because we have not seen her die.
So the first thing was when she's specific about how long she'll last on the island. So, actually, the first shot of the movie is a lady laying on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of hinted that this is the end of the movie. But by the time the movie gets going, I can't remember what that woman looked like.
So, yes, agreed.
By the end, I don't think it was either of them.
I literally was just about to ask that if it wasn't either of them, but
yeah, I think it might have been one of her previous victims, because I don't like looking back. Neither one of them had the outfit on, I think, that the lady on the beach is wearing. I was pulling up the app to look at the first scene again to see if I could tell if it was one of them. Should I do that?
Yeah, go for it. I will say it was very, he did not mention it as an influence, and we, a spoiler alert, do ask him for influences during the interview. Well, I just meant for the interview later that you're going to hear. I did ask him about some influences, but I thought in a number of ways it did feel kind of It Follows-esque, because that's how It Follows opens as well. We do end up seeing a person dead on the beach, and I thought some of the shots kind of felt reminiscent of that, but love It Follows. So
okay, I'm pulling up now. I see the island. Let's see if I can tell if it's either one of them.
great opening shot, by the way. I kind of like when movies do that.
Again, this is a well-made movie all the way through.
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go. She's got white shorts and a gray shirt.
Traveling is.
Let me see. I'm going to the end. All right. So she had black shorts and a gray shirt. CW did.
So not CW. And not Madison either. I don't believe that's what she
Madison. Oh man, I'm looking at this final scene again.
I like that even better. So it's not a final shot, which again, like you're as a viewer, you're like, oh, we're already, it's one of those, and it's not. It's a previously shot.
I was gonna say, did you assume that as well then?
Yes, I did.
Yep. And it's very clear that it's not her because Madison's wearing a pink, like a floral dress.
So I was gonna say I thought she was wearing pink, but I didn't want to say that, and then you'd be like, well, no, she's not. But
it's like pink or orange floral dress, maybe both. Okay, so yeah,
I would say we do get another time jump, I believe, when Ryan goes to the ferry, and we get to see when he and Madison met.
Yes, we see. This is where we find out that Madison is not this girl that has like built her entire life on being this.
Now, I do believe earlier in the movie, she had made a comment that like Ryan was really the one that had pushed her into that life to begin with. But we do see very much, she was very anti. I mean, he tells her like, you don't really post much, do you?
Yeah. And he like pretty much tells her like, you have, it or whatever. I thought at this point we were going to find out that he was also running some type of scam.
I had the exact same thought. And another thought I'm having right now, as far as her survival ability goes, not that equates necessarily, but remember, she's kicking his butt in every arcade game they play, and he asks her, is there anything like this that you're not good at? And she's like, no, I'm good at all of it.
That's also true. So, and I think when we asked the director or we talked to the director about it, I think he was alluding to those type of things, but I think on the spot, he probably just couldn't draw specific examples necessarily, or maybe he didn't want to because of spoilers.
Right.
I should have been clear that we were doing a deep spoil interview, but yeah, the info was there that she wasn't this basic chick that we assume she is in the beginning. And I think again, it adds another layer to it to where it's not just this simple, here's the stereotype character that gives you everything that you're expecting of them. More than meets the eye, as we've said already.
Yeah. So again, after this, we see the flashback. Ryan is not leaving on the ferry. He is going back to CW's house because he, again, very suspicious of her. And he does beat CW to the house. And he's finally got the high ground. He's finally got the upper hand. He waits for her to come in with a rock in his hand, and he knocks her out.
Definitely got her. And at this point, did you think it was going to play out? Did you think he was just going to figure it out and him and Madison were going to run off happily into the sunset?
So this is where I do start to wonder things. I'm still wondering, obviously Ryan is fighting to find Madison, but again, I the back of my head, Madison's probably still alive or could very well still be alive on this island. My only problem is, how is he going to get CW to take him there? Like, yes, you do have the upper hand, but she could take you anywhere. You don't know where she's going to take you. So there's still a number of possibilities that could happen to me anyway.
Yeah, I think in my head, this is where I started to question whether or not Madison was alive. So one, there's multiple outcomes here, and this again is a hallmark of this movie being good. One, she takes him to the island. Madison's dead, and she leaves him there also.
Mm-hmm.
Another, she takes him to the island. Madison is alive, and Madison attacks or whatever, and they leave her. The two of them leave her. Another is they get to the island. Madison is alive. Did she have a gun?
I don't remember.
He had a knife. He had a knife.
He had a knife. I don't
I
remember.
don't remember seeing her with a weapon.
I will say I did have one more potential, and maybe this is what you're alluding to. If it were a pie chart, it'd be a very small sliver. But a very small sliver thought maybe way before any of this, they have caught on to what CW has been doing, and they are teamworking, Madison and Ryan, going to try to catch CW. Long shot. Very, 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 very long shot. But
okay. So yeah, I thought that somehow either she's going to win and it's going to be like Ryan, maybe Madison's alive and she still wins. Like she just leaves both of them on the island together.
Very much a possibility, yeah.
Or Madison also doesn't like him because he was doing things influencing her in negative ways, and she leaves him on the island with CW.
That would have been a fun, especially if we really like hammered in the Midsommar awful boyfriend trope. That's kind of a trope now. Yeah, have your fairy tale ending. Get rid of all the awful people if that's the case. And
definitely Midsommar was on my mind when I had that thought. So instead, we get the old okey doke at the dock. And this was, I always ask one scene that stuck with you, a favorite scene. This was mine, where she ends up getting him in the water and drowning him.
Yes. So in real life, very recently, we watched the Miami Heat almost blow a 3-0 lead. This man did blow a 3-0 lead. You have this woman tied up. You have a weapon. You are walking behind her. You cannot lose. If people were betting money, no one on earth would bet money on CW. And CW pulls it out.
Not at this particular point anyway. Maybe at the island she has an advantage because she knows where she's at and he doesn't. But again, this came out of nowhere. I enjoyed it. I literally had to rewind it because I was like, what the just happened?
I did as well. I was like, did I miss how she pulled this off? But she just
got him.
Yeah,
I think it comes down to, again, he thinks, this is a tiny chick. Like, I can handle her. Like, I got the weapon just in case she tries to pull something. But at the end of the day, she's not a threat to me.
Yeah. And I will say a great scene. I know you've mentioned it as like your favorite scene, but like you and I, for the most part, we're on the right track. We think Madison very well is probably still, or could be still alive on this island. But again, all of our potential outcomes are he makes it to that island. You know what I mean? Like in no world did I think he is about to drown.
Exactly. Like I definitely thought he was getting to the island. Well, he did get to the island. I thought he was getting there alive, if you will. So now he's dead and she's got two bodies to dispose of. And what better place to dispose of them than your murder island? And I guess technically she's not actively murdering people. She's just leaving them on the island and letting them succumb to the elements.
Yeah, fair.
Kidnapping, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's murder, but
it's murder, but she's not getting her hands dirty.
Of course, now you have gotten your hands dirty twice with Jennifer and with Ryan. You've actually had to physically murder them, but
so that initially I was thinking maybe she don't have it in her, but she definitely had it in her.
She did,
especially with how she killed Jennifer. That was kind of rough, as I mentioned. Him could have been more survival, but the Jennifer one was rough.
Yeah.
So she gets to the island and she immediately realizes something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think she expected Madison to be on the beach, dead.
Yes, and again, again, we as the viewer, that was the opening scene, and we both thought that that's the ending. So, you're very much expecting, like, if you're CW, I'm gonna get here, she gonna be dead. So I'm gonna just bury these 3 bodies.
Yeah. Nothing on the beach. And she saw the fish by the fire that they were sat at. So she sees the log, which is tallied, and Madison has smartly tallied every day that she's been on this island just to keep track of time. I want to say it's been like 5 weeks.
It's been a lot. I didn't. I wish I would have paused it, and I thought about it, but I was too like, "Oh, what's happening?" So, but I mean, there's multiple.
In my head, I want to say I counted 35. Like
she literally could have won Survivor. Survivor is anywhere from like 35 to 40 days. Shorty could have won Survivor.
She's definitely been out there. Oh, my girl got a new show. Good for her. Anyway, that's another person I would probably need to reach out to. Talk about that later. So she knows something's up. Why not just leave?
Yes, because my very first thought as this is happening, and as soon as I see all those tallies, and then we walk into the jungle just a little bit further, because CW very much has one of those, if you've played any sports or even video games, where things aren't going your way and you're like, head down, sit up, like, nah, I got this. My very first thought was, Madison knows this place way better than you. You no longer have the advantage. If she's still alive, she knows this place inside and out. You do not. Turn around, get out of here.
Yeah, like, even if she survived up to this point, she can't survive forever.
Right. Your biggest advantage if you're CW is you will die at some point if I leave you out here. I'm just going to go back, start a new scheme. When I come back the second time, I won't see more tallies.
Yeah, maybe I need a gun next time. Like, I'm not going to try to fight you up close.
This is your home court advantage now. It is not mine.
If you survived out here, your will to live might be stronger than I thought. And maybe it's because she wanted to. I assume she's the one that buried the previous bodies. Maybe that's a wrong assumption. Yeah, because she goes straight to the burial site.
Yeah, she goes straight to it. And I guess Madison has explored, and I think Madison knows she is going to come here probably.
And that's probably what she wanted to take the bodies. I don't know how she was going to get the bodies there because she's tiny.
Yeah, how are you getting these bodies that far? That's a great question.
Maybe she's just going to leave them to the elements. I have no idea. But, curiosity killed the cat. In this case, curiosity killed CW because she was like, I know this bitch ain't out here alive. Like, what the hell? And she goes exploring and she gets caught off guard. And that's the end of that.
Yeah, and I will say I have to give another tip of the hat to Madison, because I think most people's instinct would be like, I'm going to bash your brains in. I'm going to make sure you're dead. Madison has the exact opposite. Madison says, you know what? What you tried to put me through, let me die to the elements, doing it to you.
She definitely hit her twice. I think the first one knocked her down. The second one probably knocked her out at least. But I don't think she was dead either. I think she's leaving her out there to survive, to see if she can.
Well, we actually see as Madison starts to drive off in the boat, we do see CW is alive, and she has kind of a smile on her face, like, wow, you got me.
You're right.
And Madison turns around and I think sees her seat. I think they have like a look in the eyes moment, and Madison gets her, I won, and CW has her smile of like, damn, you got me.
I think initially when she delivers the second blow, I was like, dang, did she kill her? But like you said, we do get that final shot of her coming to the realization that she's gotten at her own game.
Yep. Did the most gangster thing possible, which is, I'm not letting you out easy. You're getting the hard way out.
Let's do a theory. Do you think CW survives?
No, I think, no, just no shot. I mean, because again, you take the boat and like you can't swim anywhere from here. Even if you are good at this and like you're killing, getting your own food and stuff, like just at some point.
Yeah.
Unless someone stumbles upon you on a boat or something.
Right. How long do you think she survives? Did she last the 3 days?
I think she probably dies within the few days that she's talking about.
I mean, there was still a fish out there. Like the fish was already still on the beach. She got some food. She got a head start.
True. And we have learned CW pretty crafty, pretty quick on her feet.
I'm giving her 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I don't think she lasted as long as Madison did.
No, I don't think she can last 5 weeks. I think by week 2, she's starting to feel weak and be pissed that she's in this situation.
100%. 5 weeks, man. That is. I don't remember what I was doing 5 weeks ago, and I'm not on an island.
5 weeks ago, that would be what, the end of April? Yeah,
Were the Mavericks still playing basketball 5 weeks ago? How long ago?
I was literally thinking that. I was like,
We may as well have been suffering on an island watching Mavericks basketball.
And it's funny because I was dealing with, if you will, people who were bringing up again that the Mavs should have tried at the end of the season, pointing out that by the time they gave up, they did not have a chance or they did have a chance, but even if they had not intentionally lost those last 2 games, they would not have made the play-in if they won them. All right, I just paused it. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and then there's, I guess, the original, was it 3?
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Yeah, so there's 3. I don't know if this is supposed to be a new spot, but if it's not a new spot, it's 35 that she's added. If it is, then it's 38. There's 38 total marks.
She made it anywhere from 35 to 38 days. Damn.
Yeah,
good for her.
I don't know. I wouldn't have had the willpower.
My will to live is not near on that level.
Like I don't know.
But I've already said that we would have taken our L by being dumped. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like nobody's gonna be looking for me in this situation. And yeah, I don't know how long I would have lasted, but she did. And it's funny because at the beginning of this movie, you're thinking, this is annoying influencer chick, and by the end, you're like, hell yeah.
100%. While we're talking theories, I have another theory I want to run by you.
Okay.
So obviously, while after killing these people are taking over their lives, CW has ran Madison's social media, and I believe was probably going to run Jennifer's as well. Is she doing this because she wants to live their life, or just to cover her own tracks for a minute to make it look like I wasn't the last person you saw?
I 100% think it was just covering her tracks, and she had access to their money. So it's money and covering her tracks. Double whammy.
Yeah, I agree.
And she does
seem to take a little pleasure in doing so. Like while she's running their account, she does seem to be enjoying herself a bit.
I thought that again, that asks a question, because a lot of times when you see people be envious, it's because, or when you see people clowning someone, they would 90% of the time people want to be in that position.
Mm-hmm.
You wish you had that person's position.
100%. And we've spent a lot of time talking about how like everything and everyone in this movie is more than meets the eye.
Right.
Again, I think that kind of plays into that a bit as well. Like, oh, I hate influencers. I'm so anti this. But now that I'm getting to live it, kind of dope.
No, and I think that again, one of my favorite things about the movie is that it gives you room to interpret, and it doesn't hammer home any messages. You kind of get to decide what the messages are for yourself. Mm-hmm. And that goes along with it, whether or not you believe she genuinely hated these people or if she was envious in some way.
Agreed.
Anything else we need to hit?
Shorty was eating a Big Mac at one point. I noticed that.
I want to say I just saw that when I was like trying to catch up.
Not a McDouble anyway. Like it's very clearly a McDonald's hamburger is what she is eating.
He mentioned that in an interview, actually.
He did, yeah.
In the interview or before the interview? I think it was in.
I think it was during the interview, yeah. Because I almost said something, but I didn't want to like interrupt you or him. But I was like, I noticed that, yeah.
Yeah, like, and it's funny because I've done that where I've like gone somewhere. I'm like, man, just give me something simple. Like I don't want to take risks right now. I'm just trying to eat, and with food. And it was funny because I saw somebody post like they bought some wings from somewhere and they were trash. Like when you buy food, like you go out and get food, you come back, sit down to it, and you bite into it and it's trash. It's one of the worst feelings in life.
Absolutely. It really is.
You can't undo that. Like, this is it. Like, you're either going to eat this and it's going to suck the entire time, or you're going to not eat it and you're going to be hungry.
Yeah, what? Now if I've paid money and I'm not eating, like, you got to eat it, but it's a lose-lose.
And so you go to your safe foods, which was awesome. I thought that was a good touch.
Agreed.
Trying to think.
I have one final theory question for you, I guess.
Okay.
What becomes of Madison? One, you're gonna have to. I always think of this at the end of horror movies, especially with survivors, because a lot of time in horror movies, how are you going to explain this? That's not necessarily the case, but like her social media, which was being ran by CW, one, you make the whole deal about Ryan, and now Ryan's missing, so that's not a great start. But like, what do we think? I don't even mean explaining herself necessarily, but like, what becomes of her life from this point, you think?
So you remember when CW posted the video as Madison and she's talking about how trash, I think she says the boyfriend abused her or something.
And gets hella support for sure.
All the supporters are backing her. The friend is like, I knew he was blah blah blah, or if I had known, I would have never done it. Like, whatever. I can't remember exactly how it went, but like, he changed his entire tune.
Which was also funny because when he was on the phone with Ryan, he was like, "You can do better than her, dude."
Exactly. Like, just going with the flow of whatever the winning side is right now.
Get in where you fit in.
100%. She comes live. She does a live and she's like, you won't believe the experience I've had, and everybody fucking loves it. And she gets more endorsements. She does interviews. Like, she's blowing. It's going up after this.
I can see it going the opposite way. One, we know that she didn't want to be an influencer to begin with. Two, we've seen that she more than can thrive without social media. I halfway wonder if she doesn't kind of like, yeah, obviously you will tell your story and then maybe make your money and just ride off into the sunset, live a very private, chill life.
That's probably more likely. She is going live at first to announce it.
She's going live and probably selling her rights for a movie or something.
100% selling the rights. That's where I was going to go. Like, she sold. Maybe that's how the movie got made. We just don't know it yet. Like,
maybe
she's 100% selling the rights to this, cashing in. They're going to make a movie. They're going to sell books. She might do a book tour, but maybe she's out of the influencer life. But maybe the influencer life looks different. She's not going to be that stereotypical travel influencer anymore. Maybe now she's going to be a travel cautionary tale person that goes around and tells her story and like,
that's true,
signs type of thing.
And yeah, this idea of like, again, didn't love the influencer life, felt very lonely at times. Like, that's no longer going to be the case. You're getting to live this however you want to, essentially.
Yeah. Tell stories, be interesting, be yourself, basically. Not be this fake thing that people want you to be. I think she's thriving one way or another. She's gonna be fine.
I agree.
She didn't
Shout out to Madison.
She seemed pissed.
Shout out to Madison. I think she pretty quickly, not on the level of like Aaron from Your Next, but I think she's put herself in a pretty solid spot as far as final girls of like a modern final girl goes.
And I think she's in less than half the movie, which is interesting. I think that makes it more fun. And I told the director this, but the decision to have her come out of this the way she did, I think kind of makes the movie. It could have just been a generic thriller had it gone any other way, but the way that it ends up playing out makes it a movie worth talking about.
Yeah, you and I discussed this off air as I was finishing the movie, honestly. But like, let's take out the ending. I mean, it's on a scale of 1 to 10 for me. Without that ending, it's a 4 or 4.5, which for me is rewatchable. I would have probably still revisited it at some point, but with that ending, it goes up multiple points on a scale. I mean, I end up having it as like a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. Very good movie. I will rewatch it for sure. Recommend it to pretty much anyone I know. But yeah, like you're saying, I mean, it very easily could have been just a decent kind of find on Shudder one night to like, no, this is a gem on Shudder.
I definitely gave it a 7 on IMDb out of 10. Yeah, I think I remember when you were watching the movie, you got interrupted. I think there was like 30 minutes left in the movie, and you were kind of like, yeah, it's fine, like it's cool or whatever. I was like, the last 30 minutes is when the magic happens, and you agreed. So I had a good time. I'm glad we got to speak to the director. Curious to see what he does next. I like what I saw from this one, and listening to him talk about his process, definitely feel like he's probably going to do something good in the future as well.
Yeah, he definitely has become a not become, but I mean, he's one like when I see his whatever his next thing is, I'm gonna watch it blindly because it's him.
And 100%, like if he can't get it sold to a big studio or doesn't get a theatrical run, it'll probably, he does seem to have good ties with Shudder, so that's exciting to know. I think, like, I know a lot of people that create, and not everything gets picked up. Not everything makes it to the streamers. I think people think it's easy to sell stuff these days because there's so many options, but it's still hard to get your stuff seen. So to have a relationship with a distributor like that is important. And I feel like, again, he gets to be, in this case, he was creative and they rewarded him for it. I'm curious to see where that goes.
That's a win-win on each of their ends because, again, if you're him, if you can't get it to a bigger distributor, hopefully I've got Shudder in my back pocket. And if you're Shudder, hey, I've got a great creator right here that hopefully I can keep working with. So that's a win-win for both of them. And selfishly, as a viewer and someone who does watch a lot of Shudder, it's a win for me as well because I'm going to keep getting more good content.
Definitely. And I feel like we've given him enough praise at this point. Great performances by the cast. Cassandra Naud, definitely somebody I'm looking out for because I was like, man, she just kind of came out of nowhere and she's carrying this movie right now. Emily Tennant, again, doesn't have a ton to do here, but what she does have to work with, she killed it. And Rory Saper, the boyfriend, Ryan, also had a fun turn in this. And again, every person in this movie got to be more than just one thing. And I think as an actor, you have to appreciate that basically just being given the opportunity to show a little bit of I guess, range.
Yeah, absolutely. And like from a viewer standpoint, I love it because, again, a lot of time we'll complain about like there just was not much depth to this character or this character we could have done without him. You know, this was filler, and where this was a very concise cast, only 6 people, and all of them, like you said, have more than, you know.
Yeah. Even the creepy old guy.
Even the creepy old guy.
He has like 4 minutes of screen time, but he gives you a lot in those 4 minutes. So
helps save the day, honestly. Madison does not live, arguably, without the old dude.
Creeps you out, but then also is a gigantic clue, which when he goes back to the hotel, I was like, oh, maybe the older guy's there. He is. It works out. Definitely. Just, there's no holes that I can really find in the movie. Which again, it just goes to show you the attention to detail and fun ride. Like I said, an hour and a half, quick in and out. In this era right now, we're dealing with all these 3-hour movies, these 2.5-hour movies. It's nice to see a nice hour-and-a-half movie.
Yes, give me 90 minutes. I say it every episode. Give me a good 90-minute movie. I love it.
Anything else we missed here, Tyler? I think this review went way longer than we intended.
Always. It always does.
Yeah, I think that's all I got. And I don't know what the next one we're going to do is.
Didn't know we were going to do this one, though.
We did not. So I'm watching Spider-Verse and the Boogeyman tomorrow. I think Reese is going to see Spider-Verse tonight, so we may talk about it. But of course, always hit me up if you find something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll obviously let you know if I have something for you.
Y'all stick around, listen to the interview.
Oh, I didn't even have to do it. Thank you. Have you seen, listeners? I told you how to get a free ticket every month with Cinemark Rewards. And now I'm going to tell you how you can get 40% off your meals at restaurant.com. Follow these steps. Go to the show notes. Click the restaurant.com link. When you get to their page, put in your zip code. Or if you're traveling, put in the zip code of the place that you're visiting. A list of restaurants in or near that zip code will show up. You pick the one that you want, and a list of options will come up for that restaurant. Now, most restaurants will have a minimum purchase amount for your deal to apply. So pay attention. I'll give you an example. There's a barbecue spot near me that has a deal through restaurants.com. I can get a $25 certificate for $10. And the total purchase at the restaurant has to be $50 for the certificate to be able to be applied. All in all, I pay $35 for a $50 meal. But there is more. If you're flying solo, maybe you don't think you can buy $50 worth of food. There are lower options. You could pay $6 for a $15 off voucher, and your total purchase would have to be $30. Or pay $4 for a $10 off voucher, where your total purchase would need to be around $20. It all depends on the restaurant. But once again, if this sounds interesting, just hit the restaurant.com link in the show notes for more information. All right, so first of all, welcome to the show, Kurtis Harder, director, writer of Influencer. How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
So we're here today to talk about Influencer, a movie I did not know about until I saw your tweet about it. But I was like, you know what? It's a Saturday night. I got nothing to watch. I like horror. Let's check it out. And I was pleasantly surprised personally. Immediately sent the link to Tyler. So first thing I want to ask you is, how did the idea for this movie come about?
Yeah, I mean, the very first stem of the idea, I was hanging out with my co-writer, Tesh Guttikonda, and it kind of all threaded from this kind of joke about how you travel all the way across the world, and then the first thing you do is like eat a cheeseburger. And so you're kind of looking for those kind of usual comforts. You're looking for things that are familiar. And so for us, it was kind of spawned this idea of how do we kind of subvert those expectations of why we trust people that look similar to us? Why do we trust things like food that is something we're used to? And then kind of pulling that under the rug and playing with that a bunch.
Okay. So this is, I've checked the IMDb. This is the third feature film that you are both the writer and director on, but the first one where you had a co-writer. So what was that experience like?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, like starting out, I was always writing alone, and then I've come to really appreciate kind of the collaborative effort of kind of playing like metaphorical tennis with another writer and being able to kind of bounce ideas back and forth. I think you can discover a lot more, a lot faster than when you're on your own. And obviously, it's a lot of fun, kind of working with people like Tesh who bring kind of a cool perspective to it.
So with that said, is there anything in particular that's in the film that you would say probably wouldn't have been there without Tesh's contribution?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's hard to like pinpoint exactly because it was such like a fluid, especially with the way we wrote. We were always kind of just bouncing ideas and kind of building off of concepts that each would pitch, and then someone would have another idea to kind of add on to it. So but yeah, the movie would not be half of what it was. I mean, he brought so much to it.
Oh, I'm curious with this film, or maybe even just particular scenes, were there any directors or other scenes from movies that you felt were influences with this?
Yeah, I think there's a bunch. I mean, Hitchcock is obviously a big influence for this kind of a movie. We were kind of going for kind of that classic thriller, but playing with kind of modern audiences' perspective, like because the common like modern audiences are very smart. They're quick to pick up on kind of what's coming and clues and stuff. So a big thing for us is like, okay, can we attempt to surprise and kind of throw some turns that people won't be expecting? But like a bunch of movies, I think when we were prepping the movie and we were over there, I had the cast and crew kind of watch a bunch of movies together. The Imposter, this documentary was a big one for me, where it's kind of, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's like, if you don't know anything about it, watch it totally blind. I think it's a wild kind of ride of a very interesting character. But there's a bunch of movies. I think Burning was another one. There's a bunch.
So Bibbs and I are huge Shudder fans, and this being a Shudder original, I was curious, how did that come about, and what was that process like?
Yeah, so we've been working with Shudder for a long time. They actually came on board after we shot the film with this particular one, but we'd been working with them for a long time. Did VHS was 94 was with them. They've released a bunch of our movies like Z, Spiral that I directed, and more recently Superhost. And then so they knew about the project when we were shooting it, and then they kind of came on board pretty quickly after we shot the film.
What's that relationship? I guess it's a pretty good relationship, but is it nice to kind of have that in your back pocket? Did you expect that they would jump on this once you included?
I didn't know this movie was definitely a bit more of an experimental one, which is why we kind of did that kind of just solo, like we did it privately. So obviously it's more towards the thriller side of things than kind of a horror film, more like Spiral would be. My last film was definitely more of a traditional horror film, whereas this kind of plays with kind of some more of a thriller structure. So we were curious. I mean, it's super cool that they took it on, and they've been such a support for not only us but just the community in general. I think horror is so much better with them.
Most definitely. All right, I have to ask this question because while I'm watching the movie, I was wondering, first of all, if I was supposed to notice Cassandra Naud. I want to make sure I got her name right. Cassandra Naud's birth.
Cassandra Naud,
yeah. Or Cassandra Naud. And I have a pretty prominent birthmark. I have like a bald spot on the side of my face.
Oh
yeah. And I was like, is this going to be worked into the movie in any way? And then it was. Was that something that just kind of fell into your lap with her, or was that something that you kind of planned from the jump to have that type of?
No, she came in kind of after we'd written the script, so she brought a lot to the character, and kind of that there was a lot of conversations about how to integrate certain things. So I think she definitely brought a lot to it from that perspective. But it wasn't something that was written. No.
Okay, so she was definitely great, and I think that added a nice touch to it. Let me see here. How did the casting process go? How did you find your characters?
Yeah, so I mean, this one in particular, like it was a bit of an extensive casting process just because of the nature of going to another country, and you're traveling in close quarters. So you're looking for kind of people that can all jive together. So it's not only just kind of one person, but it's how are they going to kind of interact with the whole group. So it was a bit of more of an interview process of not only from the performance space, but like kind of a personality jive and kind of those sort of things. So I think it was like Cassandra came from a recommendation from another actor that we knew. Same with Emily. We knew Rory. We'd done a couple of films with him before, and we knew Sarah from doing Superhost, and she was also in Z. So there's some history with some of the actors, and then some of them were new, pleasant surprises.
We've mentioned Cassandra a couple of times. I want to ask her character, CW, one, a little bit about her motivations, but also I'm curious, did you have an end game for her in mind? Like we've seen, obviously we don't know prior to this, situation, but we assume it's probably not her first time doing this. And it almost doesn't go super well for her a couple of times, but she sticks with it. Had she gotten away with this, what would have been like an end game for her?
Yeah, I think part of it is the fact that she's kind of figuring that out herself a bit, because of the fact that it's like there is, with all of the characters, we're kind of playing with what your first expectations of kind of who they are, and then kind of slowly pulling that veil off and starting to strip away, like what do all these characters want versus what we see them on a surface level. And so for someone like CW, it's that element of, I think she's kind of lost herself in what she's searching for. And is she getting satisfaction from what she like outwardly is portraying to disdain? And she kind of views and looks down upon these influencers, but is there a side of her that's also looking for that attention? So I think for us, it was kind of exploring without spoon feeding, giving the typical Bond kind of speech of like, oh, this is why I hate influencers, and leaving a little bit of that up to kind of interpretation. And then also speaking with Cassandra, there was a lot of conversations where I was like, I want you to kind of come up with some of the backstory, and I don't even necessarily need to know exactly what happened in her childhood, for example. So there's a lot of stuff that Cassandra knows and is kind of holding on to herself. But a big thing for us was just like, we want to leave a lot of clues throughout the film of kind of the speeches of kind of what Ryan picks up and what Madison kind of picks up. But it's not, we didn't want to just kind of let it out in some sort of speech that you often see in some of these. Yeah. So it was a bit of a balance. It was finding that balance of not giving away too much, but also hopefully giving enough away that people don't walk away too confused.
Definitely appreciated that there wasn't like, there's a message there, but it's not necessarily heavy handed. Like you said, you can kind of take away what you kind of want to take away from it. This This alert is your warning that there are major spoilers beyond this point. And now I'm just killing time to give you time to pause if you don't want to hear any spoilers. All right, that's plenty of time. Let me ask you this. How quickly did you come to the decision that Madison lives? Was that always the plan, or is that something that came along the way in the writing process?
Yeah, so just to like within kind of explaining the story aspect of it, if hopefully you've seen the movie if you're listening to this, but it is a bit of a kind of a triangular structure where we kind of go from one character all the way back to the beginning. So starting with Madison going to CW, we go into Ryan and then coming back to Madison, kind of tying it all around and hopefully building up that. The goal of the film was that we were happy if the audience kind of judges her at the beginning and kind of looks at it from kind of CW's perspective, but then we start to see that there are people behind these kind of facades that we see online, that we kind of play with the expectations of who Madison really was. Why did she become an influencer, and kind of showcasing that relationship with Ryan, of how all of the characters in different ways kind of relate to that title of influencer in different kind of perspectives, not necessarily just social media. So that was a big thing for us. In terms of Madison, it's like, no, there is more to this girl, and she's kind of become almost a victim and kind of trapped by kind of that allure of fame in kind of this vapid society that we've kind of built up of looking at influencers as like that's the big goal career that a lot of young people are kind of looking at as like that's what I want to be, as opposed to kind of more substantial or maybe more substance in terms of what your work is. So I think, yeah, that was a big thing for us. Madison was always this character that we wanted to kind of play with some depth that at first when we hope that you kind of judge her, and then we can kind of slowly start to peel that away.
With Madison's character, this might not be the correct phrase necessarily, but did you have any other final girl influences that you had in mind with her? And I again, if that's not the right phrase, I apologize, but I feel like she very much is kind of a modern final girl, and kind of what we're seeing more in this era of the genre.
Yeah, I think in terms of references, there's no specific like character in a film. We were referencing a lot of seeing like social media influencers that Emily and I kind of looked into and tried to play with, like trying to find videos of like the on personality versus the off, and kind of how you can see it turn on and off. But I think in terms of characters, yeah, the Final Girl definitely kind of fills the gaps. But hopefully, when people are watching, they're not going to expect that necessarily.
Yeah, personally, I'll say, and I'm going to put a gigantic spoiler warning before people click in, but I'll say that I think the decision to have her, be a survivor, it kind of makes the movie for me. I think at a certain point, I started to expect that she's probably going to be there when she goes back to the island. But at the same time, like seeing her be there, seeing how it plays out on the island, just kind of took the movie to another level for me. Like I definitely enjoyed the ride there, but having it conclude in the way it did, I think kind of took the movie to another level personally.
Right on. Well, I'm glad to hear.
Let's see. All right. So you mentioned filming outside the country. Filmed in some very nice locations, very beautiful locations. What was the process like securing these locations? Yeah,
so it was a bit of an interesting challenge, because we were originally like I'd gone over there in 2019, and Tesh had come and scouted with me, and we were greenlit to shoot in 2020, and obviously the chaos of travel being kind of stopped. There was a long period of time where we were kind of like on this weird soft green light but we were just waiting for the world to open up. So it ended up pushing us back about a year and a half before we were finally able to go do the film. And we went right as Thailand was kind of opening up. So I think it was kind of this blessing in disguise, where the movie is really about kind of these isolation themes and loneliness. And with the country just opening up, there was a lot of places that we had gone and scouted that were just chaos when we were there in 2019. But when we got there, they were just empty. And so we kind of just embraced it. We were like, well, this is kind of the story. This is where Madison and CW both have this kind of this loneliness like theme that kind of runs through the film, but in paradise. So it's like these beautiful backdrops, but these people are very alone and kind of in their own heads and stuff. So with the locations, the fact that Thailand was just opening up and they're extremely excited to have kind of tourism back. They were so accommodating, and just like we definitely wouldn't have been able to shoot in some of the resorts and stuff had it been in like full tourist gear, or even now, like it's come back so much.
Yeah, I was gonna say I noticed like a lot of the locations seemed pretty empty. I was gonna ask if that was intentional.
Mhm.
Sounds like it kind of was, but then it also just happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add before I move on?
No, I think just it was interesting kind of adapting that, where like originally the original script had a whole sequence at the full moon party on Koh Phangan where it's just like this, it's like one of the biggest beach parties in the world, where there's just thousands of tourist kids going crazy. And like we did have some footage from 2019 that we were able to kind of include in the film, but originally that was going to be this whole thing, and it changed the script in certain ways, but I think from our perspective, in retrospect, it really helped it. Whereas when we were going into it, we're not sure exactly how this is gonna play.
It's always nice to hear those stories about things that like weren't necessarily
happy accidents. Yeah,
it works out. So with that said, great review so far. I just pulled the Rotten Tomatoes one more time just to double check. 93 right now from critics, 75 from audiences. How are you handling the reception of the film so far?
It's been really great. I mean, you never know, kind of making a movie that's a bit more of an experimental with the kind of the structure and stuff. And this is obviously an indie movie, so it's really cool to have kind of the support of both critics and the audience. I mean, I'm very grateful.
Do you get into like paying attention to reviews when you're doing your movies?
Depends. I mean, yeah, I'll check out a couple of them, but from my perspective, it's kind of like once the movie's out, it's no longer yours. It's kind of like, okay, well, people can like it or hate it. It's not up to me anymore. I did the best, but I have no control now.
I can definitely respect that.
Yeah.
See, you've already won a best director, you got a best screenplay and a best thriller feature from different festivals for this. So those accolades have to be a little bit nice.
It's always pleasant, for sure.
All right, I'm going to ask you this question. Anytime I do a review of a film, I always ask my guests, what was their favorite scene in the film? So you as the director, what was your, I guess, favorite scene, whether it's your favorite scene from the film with how it came out, or what was like a interesting experience as far as filming a scene?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think some of the boating stuff was really fun. We were kind of just off the coast and on this little tiny, like we had two boats that we were kind of shooting from with that little green boat. And we really lucked out with kind of the locals that own the boat. And so that was a really fun day. It was kind of chaos with some of the weather. We had a lot of rain kind of coming in and coming in with sun and then rain and then kind of shifting back. So it was an interesting challenge, but that boat day was really special.
That's perfect that you mentioned the boat, because my favorite scene probably was the underwater kill. Very, very, very interesting scene, very fun scene. What was that? What was shooting at like?
That was a hard day. We were able to shoot at a dive tank training facility, kind of on one of the islands, and so they had like a really nice like multi-layered pool that we could kind of shoot in, and so we just took a bunch of fabric, blacked out the walls, and then basically just shot for like 12 hours for that 40-second sequence. So it took a long time. And it was just a lot of kind of underwater choreography of figuring out exactly how to play it out.
Yeah, I have to imagine it had to be a tough scene for the actors. Feels like they were underwater a long time during that scene.
It was quite a bit, yeah.
Started to feel like I was drowning. Tyler, do you have a scene that stuck out for you? You wanted to?
Well, one, I mean, obviously, and like Bibb said, there will be spoiler alerts here, and we've already kind of gotten into it. But the ending I thought was amazing. The final few minutes. I do have to ask though. One, and we're not supposed to know everything, but I do have to ask, where did Madison get water to live that long? And do you think you could have lasted that long on the island? Because as a fan, you're always like, oh, could I have done this? Could I have done that?
Yeah.
I know I'm not built that way. I couldn't make it that long on the island, I don't think. But do you think you would have been able to?
I think I'm like crafty, but I definitely am like a city kid, so I have no idea if I would have survived. I think if there's lush greens and you're crafty, I think you could probably figure out certain ways. And there was some rain kind of coming in, so I think maybe she might have figured out a way to harness that. And she somehow figured out how to fish. I don't know if I would have been able to fish. I read there's a book, I think it was Hatchet, about survival. It was a great. I don't know if you read that. Yeah, I read that when I was really young.
I mentioned that book in a review a month ago. That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
That's
book.
really funny. I love that book. Yeah, I read that when I was really young, and I was like, "Oh, there's so many creative ways to survive. Would I be able to figure this out? I have no idea."
Awesome,
man. There's more to Madison than meets the eye.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say we get a little glimpse into the fact that she wasn't what we probably thought she was in the beginning of the movie. So that's where I kind of took it. I was like, all right, maybe there is more to her as far as we went in with these perceptions about her and they end up being false. What's next for you, I guess, is the big question.
Yeah, so I produce as well as direct. So we just wrapped another movie that Brandon Christensen just directed, who did the Superhost. And so we're just in post for that. And then we've got a couple other movies kind of in the works that we're hoping to shoot in the not so distant future, but nothing really announceable yet. So, but there's stuff coming. Yeah.
Awesome. Kurtis, I want to thank you for joining us. Definitely enjoyed the interview. Definitely enjoyed the movie. I'm definitely going to be pushing it hard over the next few weeks. Congrats on the success so far and good luck going forward.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mike. Thank you, Tyler.